to Talks with Teads. We're at the Cannes Lions Festival this year in Cannes, obviously, and with me is Gareth Dunsmore. He's the CMO of the EMEA region for Nissan. Gareth, thank you for coming. So, across EVs and emerging micro-mobility, what are the biggest barriers, if you think about it, to move consumers from awareness to adoption in a very fragmented media space with digital, video and CTV? And how is Nissan evolving its media mix to meet people where they are?
So, first of all, Nissan's been leading the electric vehicle revolution, this movement towards 100% zero emissions since 2011 when we launched the Leaf. And honestly, it's quite a frustrating space to be in at the moment because we haven't been able to refresh our product cycle and we're not really top of people's minds. And I think that's the first challenge to overcome. How, as we're starting to enter a phase of launching new electric vehicles across Europe specifically, can we get back in people's shopping basket, just having us top of mind? And today, that sort of newness it creates is also really, really powerful for your brands. It's fundamental to our objectives in Europe. In terms of how to try and do it, I think for us it's a little bit of targeting. Like, we know who's bought our electric vehicles in the past. We know this sort of first challenge of trying to get people to actually say, yeah, an EV is right for me. So how do you do that? Well, people that have off-street parking, it's already easier to own an EV than people that don't. So There's a slightly different message and slightly different conversion challenge into the world of EV. But whilst that was our job as almost alone with the likes of Renault, BMW, Tesla for the first 5 or 6 years of electrification, it's not anymore. There's a lot of brands out there. So our job is shifting a little bit away of trying to convince people to buy electric vehicles, to say that if you're ready to buy an electric vehicle, choose Nissan, because we're bringing in the latest technology, because we've been doing it longer than anyone else, and because we really believe in it. And that why is as important as the what in terms of our products. In terms of media strategy, I think we've been a little bit too focused on conversion elements, just trying to force the sale of our electric vehicles over the last few years. But it changes when you bring in a new product. You can start talking about the introduction of a new nameplate, the introduction of sort of a vehicle that fits within your specific needs, rather than just one or two electric vehicles trying to cover all customers' needs.
Yeah.
So that gives us another opportunity to be much more targeted in our approach. So channel-wise, I mean, we're shifting away quite heavily now from linear TV. So connected TV gives us an opportunity to be more targeted, hitting people with the right disposable income to be able to move across to electrification, and then focusing on really that follow-up of people and trying to not just capture them once, but capture them again and go a little bit deeper into the journey. Because I think you still have to work harder at making that conversion to an electrification product for the first time. But we also have a bank of customers. I'm going on a bit here, but that bank of customers is really important. So targeting them, we know people that have bought a Nissan Leaf, for example, they live with that vehicle for a long time, but they also sell that vehicle for us. So even being geo-targeted about it and focusing on specific streets, specific areas where we've been popular in the past will give us a level of competitive advantage.
Okay, so education is over from a brand perspective. It's more why have a Nissan in this space of EV, and it's more about differentiation and leverage like the assets you have, like the bank of consumers.
Yeah, so succinctly, it's sort of why Nissan believes in electrification, why you can trust us, because we've been doing it longer than anyone else, and then what options have you got available, right down from sort of the entry to the market all the way up to more premium, spacious SUV electric vehicles.
And is the technology is a differentiating factor for that? So is there something which Nissan does differently to other brands in this space, because EV spans from A to Z for different technologies? I mean,
in some ways, the driving feel of electric vehicles was always thought to be, okay, it's going to be the same. Everything is going to feel the same. Well, I've driven a lot of electric vehicles and they don't feel the same. There's something unique about driving a Nissan that we want people to experience and people to feel, and I truly believe that the fact that we've done it for over 15 years, it's given us a particular way of making that EV feeling something that's more modern and more fun to drive. And then from a technology investment, it's just trying to make things simple and easy to use. We've been leaders in bringing things like a round view monitor, so our technology that shows 360 parking from a long, long time ago and making that accessible. So we're trying to build and invest in this intelligent mobility technology, but above all making it simple and easy to use. And trying to make it, if you're annoyed by the bells and whistles that go off every time you park, it's easy to turn them off.
Yeah.
There's simple things like that we're trying to invest in and help our customers enjoy their experience with their car and not get slightly frustrated by some of those new regulatory items, which are important, but equally not for everyone.
Okay. We touched a little bit on it already, but how does Nissan Modern Creative and Media Playbook balance emotional brand storytelling. You talked about the brand and the importance of the brand with performance signals. You talked about that already, touched on it a little bit, that everything was very much driving to performance, and that's but still you have to drive for test drive and conversions.
Yeah.
So what's your playbook look like on that, and creativity also in this context, because you talked about dynamics and localization.
Yeah. I think we're at our best when we behave as a challenger brand. So when you're looking at an advert for Nissan, it should be something that is wow, that's Nissan? They did what? That type of emotional reaction is what we want to try and spark, but then for a purpose. And trying to make sure that we're doing things consistently is something that perhaps we've missed in the past. So we're trying to bring a consistent brand feel across all of our activities. We've recently announced our new vision of Dare Beyond, trying to turn bold ideas into reality for customers every day, and for every customer that connects us our brands, and trying to be more accessible with that. So trying to translate that into communications, it's really hard to create an emotional, exciting story in really short form media.
Yeah.
So it's also, I think, a balance of once you've captured the attention in more passive media, then trying to fill in a bit more depth behind it with our creativity in the sort of the more active engagement when people are actually searching or looking for your brand. In terms of the balance of it, though, I think we certainly since the pandemic have been too focused on just the performance element, partly along with the rest of the industry, because you can suddenly check and challenge and manage the data so much more easily. It's a little bit of a drug that sucks you into just looking at cost per lead, cost per sale, cost per order. And actually there's an emotional piece there. People still buy why you're doing it, people still buying with their emotion, and then almost justifying with the rational side. So I think bringing some of those sort of human elements back into our communication mix and back into our media planning is the journey we need to go on, and that's timed with a product offensive for bringing new vehicles in, not just to Europe with electrification, but also into the Middle East, into the wider region across Africa and India, with a big product offensive now launching our third car in just under a year this year. It's an exciting period.
Okay, that's great. I mean, of course, if you talk about digital advertising and it gears towards performance and measurable, it gives you a safe harbor as well, but of course the brand is what differentiates and attracts people as well, so you need both.
We certainly don't want to lose that. We still want to drive in leads to our retailers, but it's only covering 50% of the people that come in to our store. There's still a majority out there that are much more interested in just turning up. Rather than booking an appointment, rather than going through a digital journey where they're leaving a trace. They're engaging with your brand, they're reviewing everything online, but then they're not necessarily building into the data journey with their customer details. They're just turning up and expecting to be able to be looked after and treated in a great way. So. And
from a consumer perspective, there's more choice as well, with new market entrants from China and so on. I mean, it's more crowded, right? You need the brand to attract people, of course, right? If not, all the efficiency and the performance engine wouldn't work, right? Because
and I think with that, it's sort of trying to prioritise where do we want to showcase the best of our brand? How do we make sure that those vehicles are delivered in a way that is exciting and is capturing people's attention, and then at the same time having our other products there to really try and focus on the performance of them, because people are warmed up and interested in our brand, and then we can present them the rest of the range to see what's right for them.
Okay. So we're at Cannes Lions, so there's no way to go around AI, of course. So how are you using predictive and generative AI to accelerate creative development, to deliver hyper-personalization experiences across markets while safeguarding brand integrity? I think that's the question here.
I think the first part of it that's really important for Nissan is speed. So we're looking at a full end-to-end process from the way we're developing our products to use AI to try and speed up and drive that forward, to all the way through to then our marketing activity to make sure that we're driving speed through all of that, because we want to reduce our time to market to just over 2 years. And that's a huge compaction of everything. And that, of course, is then going to compact the marketing side of things and the go-to-market piece. So using it in our upfront testing and what concepts are going to be interesting for customers. Yes, still talking to real consumers, but supplementing it with AI testing as well to see if our advert ideas are interesting, to be able to retest and do multiple iterations to see what's working. In terms of the actual creation itself, there's a campaign we're doing recently just in the UK, all about why Britons love Nissan and Britain loves Qashqai in particular, but also our range of EVs. And we're just taking lots of content we've already shot, but then using AI to create some really emotive British stories. And yet none of the original production pretty much was done in Britain. So it's really cool to see that. And then finally, look, if you're creating big TV campaigns that are delivering on your brand, that are really important to us to create that exciting challenger brand nature, you can still use AI to create the relevance and that local relevance. So your car could be turning up at your house in Turkey, it could be turning up at your house here in Cannes or in the UK, all shot in one go, but then using AI to change out the backgrounds and tweak the product spec as well.
Okay. One last question before I let you go. So how do you reconcile investments in premium and brand safe environment and responsible journalism with campaign performance goals? I think that's the question which we always have also, because it is very important, of course, besides all LLMs and what's coming up. What's your take on that?
I think first take is look, we want to position our brand in a certain way, so being associated with other brands and appearing in certain places is really important to us. But on the other side, in some ways, consumers should be driving the choice in terms of where they're happy to exist, where they're enjoying content, and where they would find Nissan relevant. And I think if we can always get that right, and we make sure we're putting our brand into a space where the consumer finds relevant, then the performance of that creative should be better. It's just, for me, sometimes a debate in my own head maybe, but also with my agencies, is how do you get demand and desire to work together? If you think of the best Christmas campaigns that have been run, and I mean they're British, so I'm sure you have them in Germany as well, but the best British campaigns, they are always focused on driving performance, but the best ones talk about brand and desire and the sort of the emotive side of things. So from a creative perspective, getting that across in our assets is really important, rather than having a brand ad and a tactical ad. And therefore, if you relay that into the media partners and the channel choices that we make and the platforms we're in, following the consumer is probably the first piece that's important. And then, of course, having a level of protection and safeguarding in certain spaces. But I don't see that as impacting performance, because we can perform really, really strongly in the majority of spaces that consumers find us relevant.
Okay. Gareth, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best for Cannes Lions, successful Cannes Lions, and see you soon. Thank you.
Perfect. See you soon.
Thank you.